We never got the chance to attend the trial of Boniface Yakulula, partly because it turns out to be one of the speediest murder cases in history. So, we did not even have an idea of the suspect's face until we got Josephine Karemi's phone. This is the horrific murder case of Josephine Karemi and her killer, who began taking pictures with her phone almost immediately after he raped, tortured, killed, and dumped her body 60 feet underground. And after all that brutality, a court in Embu has decided that, get this, 15 years in jail is enough for the killer caretaker. This is Murder Tips. I'm Brian Obuya.
Friends and family struggle to carry a coffin out of a local church in Embu. Not just because of its hardwood timber, but they're drained emotionally. Inside the 6'5" coffin are the remains of Josephine Karemi Kivuti, the eldest daughter of Simon Kivuti and Anne Mwari. Josephine met her brutal death towards the end of June 2023 in the hands of a colleague. Karemi was a high school graduate of St. John's Girls' School, Kianjuki, where she sat for her final exams in 2014. The next year, she would join the Thika Institute of Business Studies to undertake a catering and hotel management course, eventually graduating with a diploma and taking an attachment stint at Pride Inn Hotel in Nairobi.
Thereafter ndio tukaona ni vizuri pia unganisha na nyingine sababu she had the potential aongeze masomo yake. In 2017 alifanya course ya Library and Information Science.
Even before her graduation, that was slated for the 1st of December 2023, Josephine was taking up a secretarial job at the Catholic Women Association Embu headquarters. She was excited about it, at least according to what many of those who knew her say.
Na mimi ni hairdresser yake tangu akiwa shuleni. Nimemtengeneza tangu akiwa Kianjuki High School. Haya, bila alimaliza shule, akaenda college. Alienda college, akamaliza ya Thika, akakuja tukakaa huku ndo akaingia sasa hiyo next ya library. Kumaliza hiyo ya library, bila alipata kazi alipitia kwangu. Mimi nakuanga hapo mamake anafanya kazi, ndugu yangu ni next niko na salon. Sasa Karemi kila siku akiingia kazini, hata kama mamake ameenda mahali akamwacha akaenda town, yeye ndiye anabaki hapo. Sasa tuko na yeye hapo. Kila siku tulikuanga na yeye hapo, akikuja tuko na yeye hapo, hata hawa wengine wakiingia tuko na wao hapo.
For context, this is the small town of Kivue in Embu County. Standing out in the town is Wakari Shop, which is shortened from Wakarimi's shop. It is Anne Mwari's business point, Karemi's mother. Her neighbor is Annette Mukami, a hairdresser. It is at this shop that Mwari would from time to time leave her children to operate the business as she prepared her vocals for the next Sunday. She's a choir member, and it is inside this salon that the two girls, Josephine and her younger sister Joy, would have their hair done before going to school. It is also inside these small premises that Josephine perfected her hairdressing skills, that even on her socials, she described herself as such, a hairdresser.
Alikuwa anajisonga mwenyewe hapo. Sasa vile alimaliza na akaenda kazi, akakuja akapitia akaniambia naenda kazi. Na amepata kazi na alikuwa amefurahi sana vile amepata kazi.
On the day she would go missing, she had worked for just 1 week. The mother thought her little girl was getting bored on a holiday.
Ilikuwa Wednesday. Tukaa saa 5 hivi, nilipigia Karimi nikamuuliza, Karimi, umekaa huko Kumboeka na leo ni siku ya public holiday, si kuja tukule lunch pamoja? Karimi alikuwa amezoea kucheka. Akasema, mam, sikuwa nikijua, lakini wacha nikuje. Karimi hakumaliza dakika 30 akakuja. Tukakula na yeye lunch hapo. Tukakaa. Mimi nilikuwa naenda choir practice ya kanisa. Niliwaacha hapo kitu saa 9 na dada yake mdogo by the name Joy Margaret. Nikawaacha hapo nikaenda choir practice. Sasa masaa ya 6 hapo mimi nilirudi hapo kwa duka. Nikakuta Josephine asharudi kazini. Joy nikamuuliza Karimi alienda saa ngapi? Joy akaniambia Karimi alienda kitu 5 hapo. Nikamuuliza alibeba nini? Akaniambia alinunua nyama tu akaenda nayo. Sasa kuna avocado nilikuwa nimebebea, alibeba nyama na avocado. Mimi sababu nilikuwa namjua sio mchana, alikuwa na mambo mengi, sikushinda kumpigia simu.
Akaniambia na Sunday niko na birthday, sasa nahitaji unioshe yangu juu naenda na kesho niko job, sitapata time nyingine ya kukuja kwanza. Na nataka hiyo birthday yangu nikae hapo tu nisonge nywele juu sina mali kwa kwenda.
That was on Wednesday, 28th June. It was the next day, Thursday, the 29th of June 2023, that things will begin to go wrong.
Nikapigiwa simu na Father Inichanji ambaye ni Father Mendias. Akaniuliza kwani msichana ako wapi na simu yake iko off. Nikamuuliza si yako njofu. Akaniambia hapana, hayuko na simu yake ni mteja. Mimi kutoka hapo nilipatwa na wasiwasi. Unajua ukiwa na mtoto wako unajua mienendo yake vile iko. Sasa Karimi alikuwa yani hakuwa na mambo mengi. Nikamwambia, nikamjibu Karimi tulikuwa na yeye jana na karudi yuko kazi. Akaniambia Karimi hapatikani na simu yake iko off. Ndio nilipikia baba yake.
Hapo ndipo na mimi nikamwambia fanya hivi, wewe teremka huko mahali pa kazi, uende uone inaendelea namna gani na mimi ndio nifuate na kuja. So masaa saa 8, saa 9 nikawa na mimi nimefika ile mahali pake pa kazi. Nikampata Mama Karimi na Father Mendias na kijana ambaye alikuwa anafanya kazi huko kwa hiyo premises. Tukaanza kuulizana mambo ya Karimi mahali alienda. Yule kijana wa kazi alikuwa na akili ya kwamba hajamuona Karimi tangu jana, sababu that day wakati Karimi alikuwa anaenda alikuja akamtext akamwambia yeye ameenda nyumbani. Kwa hivyo yeye hakumuona hiyo siku. Tukamjaribu kumuuliza na hiyo siku ya 29th kama wameongea na yeye kama wamepatana, akasema yeye hajamuona. Hapo sasa ndipo sisi tulichanganyikiwa na tukarudi nyumbani.
The Catholic Women Association's secretary could not be found. The family had panicked. It was time to involve the police.
Polisi wakaniambia kwamba masaa bado haijafika, niende mtafute hiyo Friday, kama sitampata niwajulishe tena. Nilifanya hivyo. Alafu nikarudi nikaenda Embu Town, mahali Karimi alikuwa anakaa ama anaishi kabla ya apate kazi. Nikajaribu kuongea na marafiki zake and the neighbors and even the landlady kama wamemuona. Wote wakawa hakuna mtu ambaye amemuona. Mimi nilibidi sana ile kwangu kazini bila kujua nila kufanya. On Saturday morning nikaamuka tena nikaenda Runyenjes police station. Hapo nikaandika statement ya kwamba mtoto wangu amepotea. After kuandikisha statement kwa police, nienda hapo kando kwa DCI office. Nikaripoti the same. Nao wakaniambia sababu ni Jumamosi hawataweza kunisaidia sana. Kwanza wakaniuliza kama niko na serial number ya simu yake. Nikawaambia hiyo tunaweza tafuta sababu inaweza kuwa iko nyumbani. Akaniambia hata kama ni ile box ambayo ilinunua simu unaweza kuja nayo. Sasa wakati nienda nyumbani, luckily nipata kijana wangu anaitwa Melvin ambaye ndiye anafuata Karimi, azapata hiyo box tuko nayo kwa nyumba.
Back at the CWS compound, there was only one other person who could answer the questions the whereabouts of Karimi. That person was Boniface Yakulula, a groundsman born some 26 years ago in Vihiga County and he always volunteered to help and share as much information as possible.
Huenda nilikuta kijana ndiye alikuwa kwa hiyo compound. Alikuwa kitu 100 meters, nikamuita. Alikuja kama anakimbia. Kuja nikamuuliza ati msichana alienda wapi? Akaniambia msichana alienda jana na sikumuona kutoka jana. Nikamjibu ni mimi nilimkuwa nimemwambia sababu mko wawili kwa compound. Akwambia ametoka sababu kuna saingia mtu mwingine ukiwa unafikiria secretary yako. Akaniambia aliniambia.
But Yakulula had one more lead. At least according to him, there had been some vehicles at the Catholic Women's Headquarters gate, and it's possible Karimi jumped into one of them to wherever the party took her.
Nikamuuliza gari ya aina gani? Gari tu, lakini mimi sikuenda karibu, ilikuwa masaa ya 6. Hai, tukashangaa. Sasa baba Karimi akakuja, father naye wakafika, wakanikuta kwa hiyo compound sasa na ule kijana. Tukaongea sasa kama simu iko off, msichana hapatikani, hakuna mahali unafikiria anaweza kuwa ameenda, tukakuwa stranded.
So these vehicles that picked her allegedly, was that statement said with certainty or just in passing? Because
no, he said like he was certain that yes, there are some vehicles that had picked her. So he was very convincing, and we had to, kind of believe his story. So from there, we were told to come back the following day. That was on Friday. Meanwhile, we kept calling each other and contacting other relatives and, trying to inquire, does anyone know any friend, because if the boyfriend is known. And still nothing.
On Monday, niliamka asubuhi, tukiwa na bibi na mama Karimi na marafiki wengine. Na ile box nilikuwa bado nimebeba. Nikaenda nikaipeana kwa DCI. Hao ndio sawa walianza uchunguzi wao. Tukaandika statement yetu na tulipomaliza kuandika statement tukaandamana na wao mpaka mahali Karimi alikuwa anafanya kazi. Tukaenda tukampata Father Mendias yako pale na yule kijana bando wako huko. Walijaribu kuwa interview kidogo, ndipo sasa wakaambia huyo kijana kuna ripoti wangependa kupata kutoka kwake. Kwa hivyo wakamuuliza kama tunaweza andamana tuende mpaka kwa polisi, mpaka station. Kijana akakubali.
On this specific Monday, the 3rd of July 2023, a lot was going to happen. By taking Yakulula to the station, unlike previously, Detective Nasir was not completely wallowing in the dark. The officer had one important lead that naturally and obviously was going to lead somewhere: the mobile phone data. From the package box of Karimi's phone that her brother had submitted, police had retrieved the gadget's serial number. Police officer Nasir Kainan had established that Karimi's phone had 2 active phone numbers after she went missing. The numbers were active from June 29th to July 2nd. Upon interrogation, the caretaker denied knowing anything about Karimi's phone. The numbers in Karimi's phone were a 0705 ending in 084. The other number was a 0795 ending in 802. It was not until Yakulula was shown that these numbers were registered in his name that he agreed to knowing where Karimi was and that she was safe.
Mimi mwenyewe nikauliza kijana, msichana ako wapi? Akaniambia nitaenda kuwaonyesha mahali yako. Nikawamuuliza hata kama unaweza kutuonesha ako namna gani? Kijana akanijibu ya kwamba msichana ako salama. Na pia nikamuuliza hata kama ako salama ako mpaka wapi? Akaniambia ako hapo tu kwa hiyo premises ya Karagana. Hapo ndipo polisi waliniambia kwanza nisimame hapo nje, niende hapo kwa waiting bay.
So we waited at the police station. We stayed there for around almost 6 hours, and the police vehicles were coming in and going out, and we didn't even notice them bring him back to the station.
The family waited at the police station, and as they did, police drove some 7 minutes away to the compound. It was not long before DCI officer Nasir Omar, in the company of 3 other officers, made a shocking finding. Josephine was dead. She was not just dead. She was dead and dumped 60 feet beneath the ground. It was time to break the story to Karimi's parents, still waiting at the police station.
Then I called one of my uncles to come and follow one of the police vehicles. We want to know what is going on because the police are not telling us anything. So we come and we go around using other routes. We went round and we couldn't access this compound. But now, luckily the gate was not locked. And my uncle came in, the other uncle came in, and he found out police officers and other people, people from the institution and police officers and some onlookers. Then they said she has been killed. She's in one of those holes. They're trying to get away how to remove her from the latrine.
Tulikaa hapo mpaka ikafika karibu saa 10. Hapo ndipo sisi tulipigiwa simu.
The small town of Kivue remains just as silent as it was then. For the 4 days that Karimi was missing, her parents were on the move working out her whereabouts. Her siblings were running their shop in the small town when the news broke. The unthinkable had happened, turning the attention of the town to Mama Karimi's shop.
Sasa tulikuwa hapo na sistake. Tumekaa hapo. Vile aliingia ndani, sijui hizo news sijui nani aliziweka online ama alipata aje. Mimi nilisikia tu nduru nikiwa hapo tu nje. Kwenda kushika sistake kumuuliza ni nini, wakaniambia vile amesikia sasa kutoka hapo. Wazazi hawakuwa karibu tukipata hizo news, sasa walikuwa huko wanashughulika sijui zilifika aje huko.
Back at the center, several police officers had surrounded the compound. The entire police division was trying to retrieve Karimi's body from this sock pit. For context, let's just call it a pit latrine. For several hours, not a single police officer had volunteered to enter the 60-feet pit and begin the process of retrieving the body of 29-year-old Josephine. To kill Josephine, Yakulula did a lot of things. Listen to them carefully because shortly, most of it won't make sense. This is the exact spot where Karimi's body was dumped. Her cousin, Adrian Mwangi, was among the people who came in here that day.
From around 10 in the morning, around 9:30 in the morning, they managed to remove the body around 3 p.m. Yeah.
So someone had to go in?
Someone had to go in, yes.
Okay. So what really did it, what did the scene look like? What did...
The area, like the way the compound was, it was like somebody had cleared. It was a bushy area. Somebody had just freshly cleared the area. And like this shamba that you see, the maize plantations, there were no plantations. It was just a forest like this one. And basically, it looked like a deserted place. Yes.
But you say there was some weeding that had gone on and everything?
Yeah, there was a bush clearing that had been done, maybe 2 days earlier or 1 day earlier. Yes.
And the place itself had been kept with those?
Okay, when they retrieved the body, it's like the guy had thrown her and put a polythene bag on top of the body, and he threw these bricks here on top of the body to conceal everything that, even if you had to use any light to, you know, you can't see anything. You can't see a body, you can't see anything.
Inside?
Inside. So the body was covered with these rocks.
So these rocks were not up here?
Not all of them. Pieces of them, they were on top of the body and a polythene bag.
Inside?
Yes, inside. And some timber. Yes.
Does it mean he went inside there?
Whichever way he threw the body, because the body was in a very bad state. Whichever way he did it, I think he managed to throw her and also do the concealing. I don't know in what way, but it was professionally done by someone who knows what he was doing.
It was not until 3 p.m. that the remains of Josephine began to surface.
Unlike his name, that in his lawyer dialect loosely translates to "he's bitter," Yakulula was not a bitter man. He remained composed throughout the investigation. In the end, it emerged Yakulula was not just a caretaker, he was also a killer. Murder Tips takes a short break.
Crime scene photos in possession of the murder tips show that someone had to enter the pit, tie a rope around her legs, and let the body be pulled from outside. There was a lot of skin spillage, where the top layers of the skin disintegrate with those below it. Also, she had no hair, and her torso and abdomen had bloated. In the science of decomposition, she was dead for at least 3 days. But not even that could show the brutality, the violence, and the hate with which the information scientist was taken out.
You said the body was in a bad state. What did it look like?
When the body was retrieved, she didn't have her hair, her teeth were broken. She didn't have, her dental formula was completely disfigured. She had a broken arm. Her face actually didn't look like her, but of course we know her body structure.
Meno ilikuwa karibu inatoka. Halafu unaona hata jicho lilikuwa limegongwa. Lilikuwa bado limetoka kiasi. Sasa wakati tulienda for postmortem, hapo sasa unajua sasa hapo ndipo sasa niliona kabisa meno manne hakuna. Sasa mimi nimwangalia that time. And then wakati wa postmortem ndipo bado ilionekana mkono mmoja ilikuwa imevunjika. Yes. Mkono mmoja ilikuwa imevunjika ya left. Na hii mifupa yote ya chest pia ilikuwa imevunjika.
Mimi sasa singeruhusiwa kuona kila kitu. Mimi niliona tu pati, nikaona ilikuwa imeanza kudecompose, nikaona trouser. Huko kwingine alikuwa amefunikwa na blanket. Na ni vizuri sikuona, ningeona hiyo.
I got shocked. I got shocked because the kind of act the boy had done, the broken bones, the missing tooth, the mid teeth, and you know the way he did it, it was so inhuman. It was badly done. You know, like crushing someone's kid. Like there's no part of her bone that was not broken. The ribs, the sternum, you know, the hand. She actually died a very painful death. If he had the audacity to even go eat her food after killing her, if he had the audacity to go shower with her towel even after doing that act, this man did it knowingly, what he was doing. Why would he get such a lenient sentence? Yeah.
How would you know he showered with that towel?
The first day we came, when we peeped, the towel was on the bed. And there was food on the meko. She had bought meat from some place with her mom. So the first day we came, the towel was on the bed, the food was on the meko. The next day we come, the towel is on the door and the food is completely gone. So this is someone who was completely comfortable with whatever he did.
Take note of that part on audacity and comfortability. Let's go back a little. You remember when I said a lot was happening on Monday, July 3rd, 2023? Now, in a small corner at the Runyenjes police station, DCI offices, Boniface Yakulula, the boy from Hamisi, sat down and buried his head in his hands from time to time. He slowly began to tell lead detective Nasir Omar Keinan the horrific happenings of that day. For 2 hours 15 minutes from 7:26 p.m. on that Monday, 4 days after the murder, he recorded his damning yet very questionable confession. And here is where you need to be very attentive. Yakulula told Detective Nasir that on the fateful 29th day of June 2023 at about 8 a.m., he received a phone call from the chairlady of the Women Association, Monica Wamboi. The chairlady asked Yakulula to go check if Josephine was around and why she was not picking her call. Yakulula told the detective that upon getting to Josephine's house, she was dressed in a crop top and a short, that she looked pretty and he was attracted to her. Yakulula asked Josephine if they could have sex. He says she agreed but warned him that she was on her menses, that they engaged in sex for a couple of minutes, and that once done, Yakulula feared that Josephine would report a case of rape against him. With that fear, Yakulula says he strangled Josephine Karimi to death. He then went into another room, got a gunny bag, and packed her body for disposal inside the empty pit latrine. He covered it with nylon papers and terracotta roofing tiles and went back to his business. That was 11 a.m. It was not until about 1 p.m. that Anne-Marie, Josephine's mother, arrived at the center.
Alikuwa kitu 100 meters, nikamuita. Alikuja kama anakimbia.
But before she arrived, a few other things had taken place. Josephine texted the CWA chair lady Monica Wamboi, a medical health officer, asking, "Good morning. Will you be available today? We make the updates." That text was sent at exactly 7:45 a.m. On the same day, at 8:39 a.m., Josephine received a phone call from an association member. The woman says they spoke, but on calling her back minutes later, her phone was off. We also know about and have in our possession WhatsApp messages between Karimi and her boyfriend on the same day at 7:35 a.m. Here, she confirms that her birthday is coming up on Sunday, 2 days away. This is where you should remember that point that Adrien raised on audacity and comfortability. Now, after a few weeks, murder tapes went back to Kivue in Embu to analyze the late Josephine Karimi's phone. It is from that phone that we restored several pictures taken within those 3 days before the recovery of the body. In fact, we could see that at 4:44 p.m. on that 29th day of June, the day Yakulula confessed to killing Josephine, he took this photo and this one too. He also took snapshots of friends and co-workers at the workplace. He even took photos of his wife and their daughter. And his demeanor did not look like that of a person who just tortured and murdered someone in the manner you've seen not so long ago. I know I told you that so many things will not make sense. By now, you have already picked up a few, but murder tapes would like to point them out at this juncture. The first thing that does not make sense is the timeline. We know that Josephine was alive at 8:39 a.m. and according to the chair lady of the Women Association, her statement says that one of their members, the one who made the 8:39 a.m. call, came to the compound to pick some uniforms. This ordinarily was any time between 9:30 a.m. and 12 noon. Then there is the alleged sex between Yakulula and Karimi at 8 a.m. and the murder shortly after. Was it possible for Yakulula to pursue Karimi into intimacy on her 7th day at work, proceed with their consensual plan, and eventually kill, dump, and conceal her body between 8:39 a.m. and the time the guest arrived? We also know that by 1 p.m., Karimi's mother had already arrived at the center and already talking with Yakulula. The other thing was the alleged sex itself. It has been established that there was too much blood on the bed sheets.
After we came to uncover the bed, ilikuwa na damu nyingi sana. Mpaka polisi wakasuspect labda the lady alikuwa on her periods.
Even when her body was pulled from the 60-feet pit, she had a sanitary pad on. It was documented and now is fact that the 29-year-old girl was on her menses. What murder tapes is unable to make sense of is whether Karimi willingly had sex with Yakulula like he claims, and shortly after that entire mess, she dressed up and still put on the same sanitary pad. Is it possible Yakulula got intimate with Karimi's dead body, dressed it, and buried it? Then there is the autopsy. Yakulula, the boy from Shipala village, told police that upon thinking that Karimi would turn their moment into a rape case, he strangled her to death. But Karimi's body was speaking to pathologist Kamau Wangare at the Embu Level 5 hospital in a different language. Karimi did not die of strangulation as Yakulula claimed. She was never strangled. The girl died of blunt force trauma to the chest, and the pathologist said it was consistent with assault. So here is a case of someone confessing to murder, but without clear knowledge of how the victim died. That then leads us to our next point of question. Police appear to have been excited with Yakulula's confession that they failed to do a number of other things that were equally and consequentially very, very important. Yakulula told the police that he received a phone call from the CWA chair lady to look for Karimi. The chair lady in her statement does not make reference to that phone call. Police failed to establish if there was such a call that morning in the first place. In fact, indications are that the chair lady was never looking for Karimi that morning. After all, it is Karimi who had texted the chair lady at 7:45 a.m. and it was not until about 9 a.m. that she saw that message after an inquiry from someone else. Investigators, happy with her confession, failed to see through the timeline lapses and alibis that completely beat logic. How did Yakulula single-handedly carry the body of a 78 kg Karimi to a pit 80 meters away without a scratch on the wet ground? The investigation failed to unravel the movement of Karimi's phone and the location of other important people, including the resident Catholic priest and 2 other staff, to corroborate their narrative on their whereabouts that morning. The investigation also failed to expedite DNA results in the case of Yakulula. Despite taking a vaginal and anal swab and other pieces for DNA analysis, by the time of his conviction, the results had not been availed. And then, our last point of question. In due course, Yakulula was arrested and charged with the murder of Josephine Karimi. In the trial that began towards the end of 2023, the court heard blow by blow how Yakulula killed Karimi. In the end, Justice Lucy Njuguna found Yakulula guilty of murder and convicted him. The judge would later sentence Yakulula to a total of 15 years in jail. 15 years for the rape of the secretary, 15 years for the torture meted on the girl, 15 years for stealing and using the deceased's mobile phone, 15 years for hiding the body of the information scientist, 15 years for the ultimate murder. The judge said Yakulula was a first-time offender and he was remorseful, and thus 15 years was enough a deterrent sentence. But the family down in Embu is hearing none of it.
I got shocked because the kind of act the boy had done, the broken bones, the missing tooth, the missing teeth, and the way he did it, it was so inhuman. It was badly done. Like crushing someone's kid. Like there's no part of her bone that was not broken. The ribs, the sternum, the hand. She actually died a very painful death.
Sasa sisi as a family tukasikia ya kwamba ni kama sisi tumeuawa. Sababu ukiangalia vile mtoto hakuwa na hatia yoyote na ile njia ambayo aliuawa nayo na vile pia alikuwa raped ni kama haikuwa considered. Na tena hata wakati walimweka kwa washimo, tukasema ni Mungu tu, ni by God's grace that huyo mtoto tuweza kumpata, sababu mahali vile alikuwa amefichwa na vile alikuwa amefunikwa hatungeweza kumpata mpaka wa leo.
Kwani kuna ile mada special ama ya Josephine, kwani ilikuanga na nini na hizi zingine ni special ama ni nini kwa hao watu?
They may have a point because of different reasons. But in December 2023, Justice Lucy Njuguna, still sitting in Embu, sentenced former Embu North DCIO Javasio Nyaga to 30 years in prison for raping a complainant in his office. For raping and torturing and killing Karimi, Justice Lucy Njuguna sent Yakulula away for just 15 years.
Dimensional, yeah. I deserve a big up, I'm big up. Big up on my problem. Big up on glamour. Give a big up, look like I won. Big up, I'm the real charter.
Josephine Karimi was undoubtedly a pretty woman who loved life. Her parents describe her as a supportive daughter in whom they had invested a lot.
Nikiona kitu ya Josephine napigwa na roho. Josephine ya, unajua kama firstborn, na alikuwa ni kama tuseme, najua alikuwa amesoma, ameinteract na watu huko mbalimbali. Nimesikia alikuwa anasomea Thika. Kwa hivyo mimi nikitaka kitu na niwe sielewi, nilikuwa natumia Josephine. Enda ununue hiki, enda ununue hiki. Sasa hata tulikuwa tumepangana vile alikuwa akiniambia mama nikianjiliwa haki mtakuwa mkienda miguu na ndani. Sasa alikuwa na maono yake.
Vile ilivyo inakuanga kuzaa mtoto si kazi, kulea ndio kazi. Huyu mtoto we have invested a lot with her, na muwanji hata kumbea nafasi hata enjoy a single coin yake, sababu alimua aone within after 7 days ya kufanya kazi. So as a family we still feel a lot of pain, na hata hakuna bageni tungeweza kufanya na hata na mtu yeyote.
Karimi ndiye alikuwa roho mondo ya hawa wengine. Mpaka huyo mwingine alikuwa affected, alikuwa anasomea Nanyuki, hakuperform. Ilibidi hata niende huko nini Nanyuki tena kukonsole huyo tena. Hata mtihani hakuperform vizuri. Sababu kwa vile walikuwa wanakaa na Josephine, walikuwa wanaingiliana sana. Kama ni kazi walikuwa wanafanya pamoja, kama ni kitu wanataka kununua wanaenda pamoja. Yaani walikuwa wanapendana wote watatu. Sasa hiyo iliacha ngap kubwa sana na kila mtu ako affected.
Anne-Marie wakes up every day to the grave in her compound. As she takes murder tapes here, she connotes that no one would have had to ask her daughter to shine on her way this early. For friends of Karimi, they have left it to God. But for Kivuti, her father, he's not satisfied with the sentence, and he feels that justice was not done at all, and that her daughter's murder has conspiracy written all over it.
Shida yangu ni kile kifungo ambacho alipewa, sababu ukiangalia tumesikia hata vifungo mingi sana. Kuna example ya kama yule alikuwa anaitwa huyu Joy, the murder ilikuwa karibu the same, na ukapata huyu alifungwa kunyongwa. Kuna huyu mwingine ambaye alikuwa amemuua huyu Aife wa Mboi, huyu alikuwa mwanafunzi wa Eldoret, huyu naye pia alifungwa 40 years. Jana kuna mwingine the same judge alimfunga 25 years after kuua. Sasa hii ya Karimi ndio tulishindwa, kwani ilikuwa ya how special was it? Hii sasa ichukuliwe kwa urahisi hivyo. So according to the family, the sentence was very lenient.
Someone who is selling bang is sentenced to even 30-40 years. This person who has killed, an innocent soul, someone who was just beginning to live, killing her in such a merciless manner, then the court gives the person 15 years. It's like telling him, come out and kill others, It's so lenient. It's like we feel totally crushed. We feel totally crushed. It's like we've just lost a kid like that. It's very painful.
The killing of Josephine Karimi and the subsequent jailing of Yakulula returns to focus the ever-present debate on how justice is served in this country. I am Brian Obuya for Murder Tips. Good evening.